What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.
At NBS, we believe in banking for life. For over 160 years, we've been a trusted banking provider for generations of locals like you. We know our clients personally and build long-term relationships with them, offering flexibility by giving our staff freedom to make quick decisions to put them first. Experience banking for life with NBS.
The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup. I'm Chris Butler and welcome back. Les Edwards, nice to have you here, mate.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to bring you all things rugby in the top of the South. Before we dive in, big shout out to our venue sponsor, Stan and the team, the Turf Hotel, Main Road, Stoke. Thank you for their continued support. Jam night tonight. Check out their Facebook for all things that are happening this weekend. Gee, it's busy in here already, isn't it? Yes. Thursday. And the big one coming up then, rehearsals, the full Monty. So a couple of lads didn't show up for rehearsal, so now Stan's a bit worried he's going to be the only one left at the end.
He's a bit nervous.
Imagine that. You go to do the final act and they all abandon you. But anyway, no, it's going to be a great night out, and you can buy tables, and all the money raised goes to the Cancer Society. So well worth checking out. In this episode, we're going to be catching what's happening in First 15 Rugby, the latest international rugby. And of course, the Mako season is underway, Les. So we'll catch up what's happening there. But we're very pleased to have our new Tasman Mako back with us. It's Will Butler. And I don't know whether we're related or not, but we'll have to find that out later on the family tree. But welcome to the podcast, Will.
Yeah, no,
great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I've been asked to ask you what your nickname is.
There's
a
few knocking around at the moment, to be fair.
So is this now? So we had Aaron Azza last week, but he'd always been Azza. So have you brought a nickname with you, or are the lads? Yeah,
so I brought Butts with me.
Oh well, I get Butts.
Yeah, pretty standard, and the lads have managed to add a few things on the end.
Oh, have they?
Probably aren't suitable for the
Oh, is that R18?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a good thing our podcast is.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, great to have you with us, that's for sure. So you are actually originally from England.
Yep.
What county did you say?
So Gloucestershire.
Gloucestershire.
Yeah.
They have a pretty good rugby team too, don't they?
Yeah, Gloucester. Been down and watched them a few times.
Have you?
Even saw Tojo actually have a few run-outs for them.
Oh, did you?
Marshall,
yeah. Oh, Marshall did.
Oh, right. Oh.
Yeah, cherry and white, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
We're going to dive deep into your rugby history, but you've ended up in New Zealand. So how did you arrive here in New Zealand?
Yeah, so I started off actually signed with the Worcester Warriors, Premiership side out of school. So was with them for 6 years. So signed in the academy for 3 years, and then 3 years in the first team. Had a few decent run-outs with them. A great bunch of lads I played with. And then sadly back in October 2022, the club went into administration.
Oh,
it's a bit of a sob story, but now we had a bit of trouble off the back of COVID with the ownership and their financial situation. Had a bit of a run-in with HMRC, which is the inland revenue for the UK, not paying certain taxes, which ultimately led to the club going into administration in October.
Well, it was a difficult time for clubs during COVID, wasn't it? Because either you had to stop playing, there was no revenue coming in. Even if you did play, there's no public, no revenue. So, I'm actually surprised that we haven't heard more fallouts, and probably in the smaller clubs there has been a lot of fallouts. I guess a little bit. That's one of the advantages of New Zealand Rugby Union, is that there's some form of funding prop up in this country. But if you're private clubs trying to make it on your own, that's very difficult. So not surprised. I mean, maybe it was didn't pay the tax bill because we've got to pay the power bill. a bit of that going on.
And I think as well, like you say, not having revenue from match day ticket sales and merchandising and all everything else that comes with a match day. They obviously still had a salary bill to fork out, which was pretty
existing wages. Yeah, that's right.
Pretty expensive for them. So no, it got a bit sour as well because there wasn't a huge amount of transparency from the ownership, which I think looking back at it now, that was where the players were pretty frustrated. Like we sadly didn't hear a peep from the ownership for 6 months building up to the day where there was actually a court hearing about the clubs, sort of financial fitness. So yeah, we hadn't heard sort of 6 months prior to that anything. We were having sort of wages paid late and what bikes being repossessed out of the gym and players being kicked out of the academy house, which was like a club-owned house and things like that. So
wow, yeah,
it was a pretty tough time to still trying to be focused on the rugby as well. The Premiership had just started. We had a good squad and the coaching staff were pretty well set up to have a good run in that Premiership season. So it was pretty upsetting to end like it did and displace all the players pretty much. So I was everyone everywhere in the world now. It's quite funny to track where the other guys are, but I had actually had my ACL reconstructed that year as well. So I'd played about half an hour of footy for 10 months leading up to that day.
Wow, right.
So I didn't really have a leg to stand on, literally.
Literally, yeah.
Which sort of worsened my leverage and position at the time as well. So moved out, had to get a job and played sort of semi-professionally in the championship with Harbour for that winter season, which was great fun. But just a massive change in my sort of lifestyle, going from a full-time professional setup where you're getting paid to eat and gym and things like that and play golf on your days off, going to training with Harbour. We'd be on field at 6:30 in the morning, done by 8 o'clock, so you could get to work at 9. And then do sort of a 9 to 5 job as well.
So, right.
So New Zealand came onto your radar.
Yeah. So that was it. I wasn't too keen on the 9 to 5 graft. And I had a few conversations with my agent at the time, and he said there was an opportunity to go out and play some club rugby up in Auckland, and that was enough for me to be like, right, I'm keen to do that. Thankfully, my girlfriend was keen to come out as well.
Oh, nice.
And I kind of pitched it to her as a bit of a sort of travel opportunity, go to the other side of the world kind of thing, which we've done to be fair. But yeah, so that was us. So that was April 2023.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to hear a lot more about your story a bit later on in the show. So let's look at first 15 rugby, Les, and see how they've been travelling.
Yes, so we had semi-final rugby last weekend, and in the championship, Waimea Combined travelled to Rangiora High School again, went down by 23 points to 12, so that's their season done, but 4th spot finish, I think, is to be celebrated. Yeah. An excellent year for the players, for the team management, for the schools, so I was delighted for them. Big improvement on previous years. And then the Premiership, Nelson College 32 beat Marlborough Boys College 10. And that was, given that Nelson College had beaten them 50-0 previously, that was a good effort by Marlborough Boys.
Yeah.
Much stauncher effort by them. And, John O'Phillips, the coach of Nelson College, gives Marlborough full credit for their performance. So, but a win's a win.
Yeah.
And with that comes a home final. So they're going to be taking on Christchurch Boys High School at the front field on Saturday at 1 p.m. At 11 a.m.
Oh, right.
And that's a repeat of last year's final.
Yes. Which
was also at Nelson College, but which Christchurch Boys High School won. So this is a revenge weekend for Nelson College.
So 2 things. First of all, on the match. But did you happen to able to make it
I
along?
didn't. No,
You
I
did.
didn't, but there was a good crowd there.
I was just going to say, did Marlborough come over the hill?
Yes, we
A
had
lot of support.
with their age grade teams too.
Oh,
But
right.
there were teams from Marlborough playing in the morning, and they all got up there to support their college. So yeah, a good crowd.
Yeah. So that probably helped them, that's for sure. And then the second thing, I mean, talk about what a big day on Saturday. So 11 o'clock, you go and watch Nelson College.
Yes.
Then you go down to Trafalgar Park to watch Canterbury. And then, geez, we
And
you
then
know,
a test
you could end up anywhere watching the test match.
Yeah.
It's a huge day, Les.
Yeah, it is. It is. You guys won't get there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will. They've got an hour, if you like, after full time at the college to get down to the ground. So, but look, I'm hoping that a lot of Nelson College supporters aren't getting down because they've won and they're celebrating at the college. That would
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
I really do hope this team can finish this so far undefeated season in style. It would be a great cap for the season for all of those under 13s
So
led by Harrison. Lee.
What happens from there, Les? Because they win this final, but do they then challenge it? Wasn't there a top four or something that
Yeah,
they get
correct.
to?
I believe they play the winner of the Otago Championship,
Yes, right.
and
Gotcha.
then top four follows thereafter.
Which they have been to before.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good luck to Nelson College and get along and support them there. Saturday, 11 a.m. International as well. The honeymoon is over for Razor. And well, first of all, let's just talk about the Australian versus South Africa game. South Africa 33-7. And I didn't manage to watch the full game, but I watched the highlights and man alive. I mean, what a performance by South Africa. Now, I guess the question is, were Australia that bad that just made South Africa look really good, or was South Africa really good? Because I'm telling you now, is we're going to have a job if we're going to beat South Africa.
Yes. Did you watch it? Just highlights for you?
Again, I was the highlights. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did watch it. Look, at one point, it looked like South Africa could put 70 on Australia. They were that dominant. But, you know, the Australians just got back into it. But yes, South Africa were clinical. They won the forward battle. Some of their razzle-dazzle with their backline was great. They showed innovation, you know, two-pod lineouts, all sorts of stuff going on to make it a very entertaining game.
Yeah. So big task for the Wallabies in Perth, isn't it? The next game, which we'll talk about shortly. Okay, and then sometimes you get a feeling, but I didn't have a feeling that the All Blacks were going to go down this match. I don't know why. Maybe it was because of Razor, but it just goes to show that the standard of rugby all around the world has gone much higher. We did know that Argentina had come off pretty good performance against France, had beaten France, but they had a long way to come to New Zealand, and they tipped us up. And they played a pretty clinical game, didn't they?
Did you watch this one?
I did watch it.
Yeah.
What did you think of the performance?
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting to watch. I had it on in the team room. We're obviously over in Palmy, prepping for our game on the Sunday. So kind of watched it as a team in the hotel. Myself being the only sort of neutral. So trying not to be too controversial with my opinions on the game. But I think my thoughts on it, looking at Argentina, was actually they got the sort of balance between their emotion and sort of precision really bang on in terms of being there and being physical and being in the face of the All Blacks, but come sort of precision time, they were really onto it with their set piece and their strike. So I think you got to give RGs a bit of credit on their performance as well. And yeah, they turned up. So
yeah, and that was the general comment that, you know, apart from a kicking, which, you know, I go on about theirs, there's a feeling that we didn't do a lot wrong in our attack, especially in our attack. We gave it a go. Just, yes, we made some mistakes, but we weren't woeful, were we? Or do you think there are areas where we were?
Oh, I think the mindset around what is a test match and how you play a test match was what was wrong. At 10-0, you're comfortable that the All Blacks are going to win this game. And then for some reason, instead of just grafting away and accumulating points and playing field position, which is about kicking, there was a lot of, we hadn't quite earned the right to go wide, if you like, at 10-0. There was still work to be done, and I think they got away from that.
The kicking I'm talking about is, and they talked about it during the week, our exit game was the fact we're in our own 22 and we're doing up and unders. And twice, in fact, one led to a try. What is all that about? I just don't understand. Now, maybe technically the data shows that you've got more of a chance of winning the ball back than not. But what's wrong with kicking it for touch and defending the line out?
Not a lot. That's no, not a lot. That's traditional conservative test match play. But they back themselves to regather the ball. But in this case, you're talking about the Sebu Reece hatback, which
well, there was that, but there was a couple of times we went to do that and it got blocked because they read it. And I think there was another time we did an up and under in our own 22. And the only saving grace is that at one point the RGs started doing it themselves and it went skew whiff, but we didn't get the rub of the green. But that's 50-50 stuff to me.
I'm with you on that. I think that sort of kicking is not the kicking for field position that's required. You've got to find the grass and you've got to put it behind them and you've got to follow through and just get ball from the next phase in their half. So we kind of got away from that. It is just very un-All Black like. Do you think so? Well,
no, I think a good sort of going to an England game here, but England played them in the World Cup last year. I think they got a red card 5 minutes in. Remember that game?
Yes,
and England still went on to win it.
Yeah.
And if you probably watched the way that England played that game, having gone down to 14 men, you'd probably say that the RGs are not geared up to play that sort of test match, like you say, conservative, back in the kick chase on set box kicks and things like that, turning them round, putting the ball in behind them, making them really work for their field position. And I think the way the Argentine side works probably doesn't sort of lend itself to really working their way up the pitch systematically. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And by giving them opportunity, once they get their noses in front, Chris, their emotion, which is controlled emotion, they weren't going to let that lead go.
It's a bit like playing the French, isn't it? Because they do have flair. Yeah. They've got the big forwards. They know how to use their forward pack. And when they decide to run it and they got space, watch out.
Yeah.
And we gave them that opportunity. But the other thing that strikes me too is, again, we go back, the old dinosaurs talk about the way that we used to take it up front and take it up through the forwards and get that advantage. We're hitting brick walls and we're going backwards.
Just not as big as we were in those days.
No, so we're going for mobility, but it isn't working.
Yeah, well, got to do something with a smaller forward pack and Look, I don't know. I think that they can fix it this weekend, and they have to fix it. But I believe you just got to stay in your structured state until the game is well and truly in the bag. Dominance has been achieved, and then you can utilise what are some very, very talented outside backs.
Better watch out. The boss has just turned up.
Your boss?
No, Steve's just turned up.
Steve Mitchell? Your boss?
He's keeping an eye on us. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it, with the counter, because we've been in this position before. We got thrashed by the Australians 50 to something, and then we come back to Eden Park and the whole stadium's black, and you can feel the tension, and Richie McCaw's whacking them over. I kind of get the feeling that that could potentially happen again.
Yeah.
But Argentina will be aware of that, and and they do have good defensive structures. So what I'm really interested in is, first of all, who they pick. I haven't seen that yet, and the team will be out by now.
Yeah.
And secondly, what we do to counter that defence wall and their forward pack.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my sort of thoughts on it would be that if the All Blacks can keep hold of the ball, play with tempo, and like you say, stick to their sort of structured kicking game and not blow the game open. So the RGs have a bit of momentum. I think they'll and like I say, if the All Blacks get ahead, I think the RGs will struggle to chase the game late on.
So
So
keep the foot on the throat.
Yeah.
You know, do not let it off until, you know, the 60-minute mark, not at the 20
Keep them on
mark.
longer. Yeah. Must say, was impressed though with our lock forwards, who were reserve lock forwards. Basically, I thought both had a strong game, and even is it Josh Lord? Is that his first name? Josh Lord even came on, and I thought, geez, actually, there's some talent there going forward.
Yeah, they augur well for the future. The team announced as it's an unchanged forward pack, except Tamaiti Williams replaces an injured Ethan de Groot. So that's an injury change. And on the wings, you've got Will Jordan on one wing, and Caleb Clark on the other wing.
Really?
Mark Talia on the bench, along with another player who escapes me right now. But that wasn't a bad effort to try and remember that.
Yeah, that's right. And so Bowden keeps a spot.
Yes, at 15.
Interesting.
And Mackenzie and Perrin are in the halves. The centres have been changed, so it's Barrett and Rico Ione.
yeah,
Does that?
Yeah. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, because I didn't think Barrett had a very good game, and
it was anonymous, wasn't he?
yeah, and I thought Leonard Brown had a
I
great
thought he
game,
went well.
and I thought maybe.
Thank you. You've just named the reserve 23.
Oh, there you go. If it was me, but I'm not Razor, I'd be having Leonard Brown still there. And who's our hurricane man?
Billy Proctor.
Yeah, I'll be giving him a go at the centres because both Wani and Barrett a bit stale to me. The people that seem to be onto them. But Bodie, I must admit, is playing well, but I'm just itching to give Will Jordan a crack.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he gets a crack at 14.
And who knows? Barrett may come off. Geordie goes back, and then
Plenty of permutations on how they can be used.
Interesting, because there was talk that Blackadder wouldn't retain his position. He has.
Yes.
I thought he had a really good game.
I thought so.
I watched
Maybe
him
it's a Nelson bias, but I thought he played very well.
He played well.
I watched him a lot with a mate of mine, Stu Damon, and he did so much good work.
He just
He
gets through so much work as well.
Yeah, I thought he was great.
He's a worker.
And he got a rating of 4 from the papers. I didn't like that.
Well, because actually on the news, the reporter was
Probably that
saying likely some changes. That they bring back. I'm hopeless with names. So the original number 6 that we had for the England Test,
V now,
and that in actual fact they'll put Ardy at 7, and we need impact, so they'll bring on. Is it City? Satiti.
No, he's
at
not
number 8.
So the reserve loose forward is Sam Cane for this test.
See, that was the other permutation. Bring on Sam Cane, but I don't think that's the answer. But that would be interesting if it starts getting, tight and some stuff needs.
You need a bit of muscle, hard graft.
But I absolutely agree. I rate with the work rate that Blackadder has. I think as things start to open up, if the All Blacks do open them up, he's going to be dangerous. And he's just a power of work. He's an engine, isn't he? Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that then.
South Africa to beat Australia. In Perth.
It's going to be interesting on the response, and it's also going to be very interesting if South Africa can contain that same standard. And boy, oh boy, if they do, who's going to beat them? That'd be massive. That'd be massive.
Very difficult for New Zealand and South Africa, but
they play both tests over there.
Yes, they do.
Don't they?
Yeah. So we'll preview those a bit later. But
I mean, we've only had one loss with Razor, and a few people are saying bring back Foster. Imagine if he goes down twice in South Africa.
That's the one thing I've noticed actually since being here. That it's a bit like football back in the UK. Any loss and there's a fair bit of criticism.
The economy goes down.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we've just dropped the OCR rate, so we hope for getting. If the All Blacks lose again, it's going to slow the economy. We need to win just for the economy to start taking off again. And you're quite right. You're quite right. Your head's on the chopping block before you even start. Okay, so we're into the Mako season, and FPC. Wellington Pride 51 beat the Tasman Mako 12. I saw the highlights. That's right. It was in Porirua. Is that right?
Yes, and a good first half for the Mako. They held it together, but then just the pace of the game, the bigger, stronger Wellington athletes got the better of the second half. But it's an eye opener because there's a lot of uncapped players in this female team.
Yeah.
And so for the coach Latoya Mason, she knows now a lot of the debutants know the difference in standard between what you play in Nelson and what you're playing in the FPC.
Yeah. But a good start by the Tasman men, and you know quite a bit about this, Will, because you're amongst it. It was in Manawatu and 54-21.
Yep.
3 converted tries and
To
to
Manawatu?
8 tries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And to 8 tries and 7 conversions. So tell us about the game, mate. Obviously pretty happy with the way things went.
Yeah. We were into the win first half, and I think we just got our plan right. We went ahead by 30 odd points, I think, in the first half. Within the first half an hour or so, but I think we were pretty clinical with our rucks and things like that. So our carry and clean-outs were pretty switched on, which allowed us to sort of play our game and put our game onto the turbos. Also pretty pleased with some of our edge defence work, getting quite high on edges, allowing Big Jim to go and make some plays on the edge to get a few intercepts and score some pretty easy tries. It's always a tick in the defence coach's book when that happens. So I think Big Hoon was pretty pleased with that. So good start to the first half, and to be fair to Manawatu, they came back and scored a couple of points on us, but nice to score 50 in that first game and get a good sort of run out to start the season off.
I know you're in the back line, but the forward pack, you felt that they had a good game.
Yeah, for sure. Set piece was pretty solid. It was always nice to be sat out behind that. So,
yeah.
I thought the boys worked hard, and there's a couple of big bodies in there that put in 80-minute shifts, which was awesome.
Max Hicks had a very good game.
Yeah.
I believe rewarded with Marco Man by the team.
Yeah, he was indeed.
Yeah, and then Tuyahi Warri Tarika Davida put in a full 80. He was very good, but it was a good performance, and the goal kicking is always important. So seven conversions for the 8 tries, that just makes the scoreline so much more comfortable,
especially in relatively tough wind conditions.
Yeah. So who was doing the kicking?
Willie Harbour.
Willie was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
and some of them were just absolutely excellent efforts. And then Campbell Parada came on and kicked one also. So look, I think that on reflection, that was a good opening round for the Mako and the NPC, and probably a good hit out preparing for this weekend against Canterbury. You of course played at 13, a little bit out of position against Manawatu, but you get a shift into your natural position at number 12 against Canterbury. David Havili hasn't been released, so this midfield pairing will be Will and Levi Amua.
So, and we could talk about this a bit later, but I was just going to ask you about at 12. You like to use the boot as well. Is that part of the reason why they like you at 12, or do you tend to run with it more?
Yeah, I think I'd probably bring a slightly more Northern Hemisphere look at 12. I'm probably not the big ball carrying midfielder that a lot of teams sort of use 12 as that position. Obviously, having Levi outside me, it's not
really
that person to shift the ball onto. So yeah, more of a second distributor, I'd say. Working hard to put boys into space and sort of using my endurance to really open up games later on.
So not unlike the 10, when you get the ball, you're looking for opportunity.
Yeah,
and you can.
You
can use the boot as well.
Yeah, right foot. So give us a bit of balance actually, because we've got quite a few left footers in the team.
Oh, right. Right.
So got a right foot. Quite like the odd attacking kick, a few grubbers, a little things over the top.
So that gives another alternative attacking option.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you're looking at the number 10, and if you can snuff out the number 10, all of a sudden, if you've got a number 12 that can do that and create opportunity, it puts them in two minds.
Yeah.
Not to mention that you might go back inside or something of that nature.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I think it just opens up a few more options for the back line.
Yeah, interesting.
And yeah, I think sort of physically we've got some athletes in that back line. And I think one of my focus points is to really unlock those sorts of guys like Jim and Levi.
Well, you did that against Manawatu, a lovely break, draw and pass that set up a break down the left that I think might have ended up with Finlay Christing scoring.
Yeah.
So that was a lovely balance run by you and good draw and pass. A bit of a ball distributor as well.
Yeah, that's right, because Levi admits that kicking is not one of his strongest suits.
Yeah.
He said he's got lead feet.
I've seen him for a few nights practicing.
Was that right? So maybe he's been practicing.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like a nonu. He's been practicing.
Yeah,
but
might pull out the bag.
yeah, that's right. Surprise a few, but really he's looking for that run through the gap, isn't he? So you're looking for him.
Yeah, I think given his history and the stature of the man, like I think defenses really have to respect him.
Yeah.
And giving him the ball is one thing, but also using him as a decoy as well.
True, yeah.
Really sort of could prove really, really beneficial for us. So awesome guy to have in playing with you rather than against you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, and so this and actually this is pretty much potentially going to be the pairing going forward. So nice to get a crack in combination with them. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
in obviously a pretty big game for us. So really looking forward to the challenge.
Well, let's talk about that this weekend, Les. So FPC, the women are away to North Harbour, Hibiscus. It's on Sunday. A lot of travelling, isn't it? 5 past 12.
Yeah, they only, I think, get 2 home games this year. They had 3 last year, so out of the 5, 3 are away. But anyway, we wish them all the very best against North Harbour, Hibiscus, but the big game, obviously Saturday, 2:05 p.m. at Trafalgar Park. It's club day, so everyone who plays club footy can get in for free if they play age grade under 17s and down, so age grade JAB players, and also under 18s girls. So that's a really cool part of this. It's preceded by the John Goodman Sevens, so a whole lot of kids playing club footy in the Sevens format before. They'll all come down in their club colours and get in for free. So it'll be a big day.
Yeah.
And it's important. It's going to set the tone. It's a wonderful rivalry. Big brother, little brother. It's everything you want. In a game on a Saturday afternoon at 2:00.
Well, it used to be that we were definitely the underdogs, but more recent years that hasn't been the case, is it?
Yeah, 3-3 at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Trafalgar Park.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. So, obviously a good side, but great start by you guys. And so, what's the feeling amongst the players? How are they feeling about this game?
Yeah, I think obviously last week was a good start to the season, but you can definitely tell the boys that have been here for a while, you can sort of see the change in their mindset for this week. A bit more focused, trying to get the detail right, so that come Saturday afternoon we're right on it. And
have you picked up the rivalry? So obviously you must have heard about Canterbury as a rugby district.
Yeah,
it's in the South Island, but have you picked up on Otago, Canterbury, Nelson, Tasman, Canterbury?
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't matter whether you were from the North Island or the South Island, but definitely when Canterbury come to town.
Yeah.
So you picked up on that?
Yeah, 100%. And obviously those lads are based down there for the Crusaders throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Like I say, you can really tell those boys are really clued on to trying to get one up on them. A few mates there, but not for me personally, but for players in the team. But I doubt there'll be mates on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Now, really looking forward to it. It's obviously a great challenge for us. Nice to have it at home as well.
Yeah.
To see some faces down at Tea Park would be awesome. So looking forward to it.
And there's one local boy. Will he be playing? He's coming home. He plays for Canterbury. How many games is he? 100 games? Mitchell Drummond.
I know he's not starting. Willie Hines is
is he?
starting.
Right,
He got an injury. He might not even be on.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I think he picked up an injury last weekend.
Right. Okay. I was just thinking, that might be interesting because he's just over 100 games for Canterbury, which is he's Nelson land.
Straight NPC. 100 NPC games.
NBC, right? There you go. Yeah.
Great achievement.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, well, look, good luck to the boys. It's going to be a good crowd. It's going to be a huge event. But Nelson College front field 11, 2 o'clock, Mako versus Canterbury, and then somewhere in town, at someone's place, it's going to be a big game, a huge game at Eden Park, that's for sure. You at the Mako Rugby Roundup. Let's talk about, well, you growing up in England. Where were you born? And also tell us a little bit about your upbringing and schooling.
Yeah, so I was actually born up in Macclesfield, so just outside of Manchester. And then moved down to Gloucestershire when I was 2. So pretty early on. And then lived and grew up there. So started out at my local club, Ledbury Rugby Club. I probably aged 5 or 6, the usual. I actually cried my first time I went down. Did not want anything to do with it.
So age 5.
Yeah.
So why were you taken down to the local rugby club, not the local football club?
So that's who Dad played for.
Rugby family.
Just a massive. I've got two brothers and a sister as well, so
massive sport family.
I actually played for the football club as well. So,
Oh, you did?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was a bit of both. But I think the rugby was what I fancied doing from that point on. Dad was still playing at the time, so we'd sort of watch him on the Saturday and then go down on the Sunday morning and do our sort of ripper stuff, which is great fun. And then played at school as well. Went to Hereford Cathedral School, which is in the neighbouring county. School in the middle of town there. Not well renowned for its rugby, but punched above its weight, I'd say. In terms of first team rugby, played quite a few of the big sort of public schools around our area. So that was sort of the Herefordshire, Worcestershire, a bit of Wales, down towards Cardiff and things like that. But I absolutely loved playing there. I'm sure most guys are the same, playing with your schoolmates and having a good run around on the Saturday night, and then having a few beers afterwards at some house party was pretty much every Saturday night when I was 18 at school. So no, that was awesome, great fun doing that. And like I say, we kind of punched above our weight, which was quite nice because we were a nice tight-knit bunch of lads, pretty small school. But it went pretty well, which was good. So from there I got picked up with the Worcester Warriors Academy. That was sort of the first taste of a professional environment. They do like the sort of satellite academy stuff, a bit like the Crusaders would do up here.
Yes. And when you say you got picked up, were you always a 12? Were you always midfield?
So I actually played 10. I played
the
played fly half up until I was about 15. And then just made the shift to 12. I don't know what it was. I think probably would have been we had a good 10 and not a good 12. So asked if I could shift that one. Just really enjoyed it. I stupidly stopped my goal kicking, which would have been quite well. I have since restarted doing that, but kind of took a bit of a sabbatical on the goal kicking till a couple of years ago. So played 12 at school, and then picked up by Worcester Warriors. So they had a pretty big academy catchment that go into some UK geography now, but kind of stretched from the top of Birmingham all the way down to Herefordshire, which was pretty big area. So got in with them in their junior academy. So that was like the under 18s. And then was really fortunate enough to sign with the academy straight out of school. So finished my exams, went on my lads holiday over the summer, and then had a Bronco the week after.
Right on, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, safe to say I was spewing up
Yeah. I
few-
bet you were.
few beers on the back pitch, but no, yeah, that was the start of it basically, and it was a really good environment because the way that Premiership team worked was the academy boys actually trained with the first team squad, so everything we were doing, meetings, gym, everything like that was all included with the first team. So you got a really good early exposure to what good looks like and what sort of professional looks like, which was cool.
Yeah, fantastic.
So you ended up playing 21 games for the Worcester seniors, but what fascinates me in reading into your career to date is that you were heavily involved in England under-20s. So you got picked for under-17s, England under-17s, England under-18s, and then finally you got picked for England under-20s. So
Yeah.
tell us about some of that experience.
Yeah, so age grade sort of stuff started up in under 17s, played a game against France. It was just a sort of trial game. And then moved into under 18s the next year, where I actually did my shoulder, so only played twice that year. Got back fit the next year, and the way the UK age grades work are different to the Southern Hemisphere. So we go off your, whatever it is, start of January birthdays. So I had, long story short, I had 2 cracks at playing under 20s because I was still young enough the second year to be eligible. So yeah, got picked in the squad for the 2017 season. In a pretty impressive squad. I got quite lucky. I played with some pretty good players that year that have all gone on and played sort of for the senior side. And yeah, we had a pretty successful Six Nations.
You can name drop.
You can name
Yeah.
them, mate.
So Ben Earl, the number 8.
Right.
Yes.
Both Curry twins, the 7s. Alex Mitchell, the current 9 for England. A couple others, Max Malins, Ollie Lawrence. So we had a really good crop of players going into that year, which was nice to be involved with. And yeah, we managed to win the Grand Slam that Six Nations year.
Oh wow!
Sort of culminating on the Friday night of St. Patrick's Day, playing away in Dublin against Ireland.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So we made our way to Copperface Jacks, I think. Don't remember past 1 o'clock. But yeah, it's an awesome thing to do, really. That all of that age grade.
You've had everything against you, wouldn't you? The crowd, the moment, the time, the day.
But you won it.
You won it.
And yeah, we won it. Yeah, and that was on the Friday night before the senior team played on the Saturday.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was awesome, and that kind of set us up to roll into the World Cup that year, which was actually being hosted in Georgia. Which was an interesting place to go, actually. So we had a pretty thick and fast group. I think we played Samoa, Australia, and South Africa in our semi-final. And we had Wales in the group stages, South Africa in the semis, and then we played the All Blacks in the final. And we got absolute nails.
Oh, did you?
And
I think it was about.
I thought you were going to say, and you won.
Yeah.
and who was at fullback for New Zealand?
Yeah, Emmanuel Jordan.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That was a good New Zealand side, actually.
Yeah. No, that was. I think Braden Ennell was in at 13 as well. Who's playing this weekend. So that was the last time we played against him. But yeah, I think the final score was something like 64-17.
Then you get picked again for the following year.
Yeah. So
and this time you're captain. Or at least
So captain the side in the Six Nations, and then we rolled into another World Cup in France, and didn't captain there, but played a fair few minutes there, and came off the bench in the final against France in France, which was quite a cool sort of atmosphere. We played in Béziers, which is down in the south, nice sort of like wine region. Great place to be parked up for parents and traveling supporters.
Yeah,
they just get on the red wine all the time. But yeah, so played them in the finals, about 10,000 crowd. It's pretty big, and again, sadly lost to them. So I'm 0 from 2 from finals, two silver medals, but
Hey, but such great honour to be an England 20 rep 2 years in a row and to have captained your country. That's awesome, Will. Yet another great story that we've unearthed in our podcast. So.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I mean, that's not a mean feat, is it? And 12, they picked you up as a 12, or
yes, I think I played a bit of both. Played 12 and 13 in those campaigns.
So no temptations to go back into 10. It was always
no,
midfield.
just the midfield, to be fair.
Yeah.
Until this year, I played my club rugby up in Auckland, and we were pretty low on 10s. So I had a conversation with the backs coach and kind of came to an agreement that I'd move in and play a bit of 10.
Yeah,
college rifles.
Yeah, that's the college rifles. Yeah, which actually, looking back on it now, I was a bit wary of it at the time because I was trying to pick up a contract in this rep season as a midfielder. So playing 10 probably could have had the potential to stop me from doing that. But having now come down here, hindsight, it's been really good for my game. I think understanding what 10s are after and the kicking demands of the 10 position, and actually using that experience to help my players at 12 to sort of relieve a bit of pressure off our 10s.
Interesting. You know, I mean, I can go back to the combination. Who was inside Aaron Major? Was that or Dan Carter? Wouldn't it have been? But remember that All Black combination with the fact that we had Aaron Major at 12, Dan Carter inside, but Dan Carter didn't always have to play that. So if Aaron Major got the ball, nothing on, kicking option, you know, and it just put that defence in two minds all the time, because sometimes he could run the hole, couldn't he? So, you know, I like that combination. I think that's a good option to have. So you've told us about the you know, the turmoil that you went through with the contracts and looking for. So how did that connection? Oh, so you were saying that basically your agent said to you, "There's an opportunity to play in Auckland."
Yeah. So my agent back in the UK has an equivalent agent in the same company that works in New Zealand,
right?
And yeah, he, funnily enough, was the head coach of that club side. So he was like, "Does he fancy coming out and playing some club footy with?"
So who's that?
Graham Phillips.
Okay, he's coach of college rifle senior A.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and that was kind of the little foot in the door. I obviously didn't have a clue about what it would lead to back home. So yeah, kind of agreed to come out and just kind of jumped at it. Yeah.
And that was last year.
So yeah, that was April last year.
So you had a season there. And
yeah, I actually did my AC in my shoulder 3 games into that club season.
Oh.
So that took me out the rest of the club year, and kind of took away any potential of picking up an NPC contract that season. Ended up getting a job for Heartland Bank in their operations team. So I was sorting out consumer loans, which again,
like all good teams, he's got a brain.
Yeah. Good bit of fun. Long days though. Not quite as enjoyable as getting out on Nelson Golf Course on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
when we got a day off.
So so I mean, you're in Auckland, you're playing rugby, and you mentioned injury has been a bit of a problem with you, because I just wondered that jump from 20s to potentially knocking on the door with the English club, but then the problems with the franchise and the club, and then also you've had some injury issues. The cards just weren't falling your way in a way.
Yeah, no, I kind of look back on it and had a really good start to the career in terms of the age grade stuff. I made my debut in the Premiership when I was 18, and then just had this sort of bit of a roller coaster of going quite well, getting a shot, get injured, sit out, have an operation and be out for sort of 3-4 months, and then sort of build your way back up. And it kind of happened a few times. So and my knee was probably one of the big ones of those, because I was obviously out for a longer period of time. So that was a 10-monther, and that.
Yeah, right.
it's funny. Before that one, I hadn't really sort of realized how much of a mental battle injuries of that length are. Um, Mostly because the light at the end of the tunnel is so far away from when you do the injury and when you have the operation. You think, oh, am I going to be back to where I can get to? Is the body going to allow me to? And you have those sorts of doubts, which for your mind is probably quite a difficult thing to overcome.
Yeah, there's a very good halfback, Cam Roygard, who's going through the same process,
yeah.
So it's just hard work and
Yeah.
doing your rehab, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting you're talking about those peaks and troughs, because we've spoken to a couple of players, including in the current forward pack, but one in particular we had a conversation with was Wyatt Crockett. Just a bit of a legend. Obviously, he obviously lives here in this region now, but he wasn't always either in favour from a performance point of view or a player point of view, but then coupled with that, injury.
Yeah.
And so the ebbs and flows that he's had to go through, but eventually stuck with it, kept training, kept in front of, just kept playing, didn't he? And he talks about this story, and then one day, tap on the shoulder, and even then, gets the opportunity to represent, doesn't make the squad, I think the following selection period, and then has to go all over again, and then finally makes it again, and then ended up having, a fantastic career if you look back. And his thing was about up here, and his thing was about just keeping things going, keeping your systems going. But it's not, the rise to the top isn't always a smooth road.
100%.
It's all over the place, isn't it? Yeah.
And I really take my hats off to those players that have a long setback but come back in amazing shape, but also like better their game. So in terms of their mind and come back to playing almost in a better place than they were before they got injured.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a really difficult thing to do, of firstly maintaining your confidence to know that you're good enough to be there and you're good enough to have an impact on games, but then bettering yourself to come back.
Well, clearly you're good enough. Touch wood, that's all behind you.
Yeah.
So fascinated to know how it came about that you signed for the Tasman Mako.
Yeah, so I actually was doing some of the wider training group stuff with Auckland this season, and Gray Cornelius actually came up to one of our trial games. So we played against Northland on a random Wednesday night, and it was absolutely raining like you wouldn't know, sideways wind. I'm pretty sure it hailed at one point. I thought, oh great, he's come up, because I knew he was coming up to, I think he was having a look at a couple of players, myself being one of them. And I thought, oh, this is not going to suit my game with the sideways rain and the wind howling. So I thought, oh, this probably isn't in my favour. But anyway, played sort of 65 minutes and felt like I had a pretty good game. Sat down and had a chat with him over a coffee the next day. And he sort of just put out what the team was looking like and where he thought they'd had a potential sort of position for a player like myself to fill. Obviously with Nanki going last season, leaving quite a big hole in that midfield route. So for me, it was a great opportunity to get some game time. Obviously with Davey being in and out of the All Black squad, kind of anticipated that he might not be around as much as the team would have liked. So kind of sold a really good opportunity to get some good game time. And for me, that was definitely enough to sort of pull up sticks and head down. And on top of that, the environment that the guys have got here, the community that backs the team and the region itself, were all added bonuses that I was kind of lucky enough to have with that opportunity. I think it was funny, everyone that I'd spoken to back up in Auckland always had high sort of praises of Tasman and the Mako as as a team and as an environment, which to me, I was pretty pleased to hear.
Yeah, well, and everyone does mention that it's a great team environment, call that culture, if you will.
Yep.
They've all been very welcoming toward you and your better half.
Yeah. So my partner actually, she's back in the UK.
Oh, okay,
So
yourself then.
yeah, it was a
I was going to
story with that really.
I was going to say she didn't move in with the five lads into the flat.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to put her through that.
No.
No, we actually we had a good friend's wedding back in June that I'd agreed that was our sort of end point to head back to the UK and go to that. And then the rugby contract came round.
The conversation.
Yeah.
So you have fitted in
Yeah,
very well then.
Yeah.
Tell us about your flatmates.
Yeah, so I'm currently living with Fletcher Anderson, Sione Harvilli, Johnny Lee, and Cooper Roberts, who are two of the young fellas in the academy sort of thing. Also Noah Hotham, but obviously away with the ABs, which is awesome to see.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's good. It's good fun. It's been a pretty smooth transition to fit in for me. Like the lads have been pretty good. Yeah, got on pretty well with them. A lot of golfers in the team, which is quite good for me. I'd quite like to get out on the golf course.
Well, you're living in the perfect location.
Yeah. It's almost,
so the golf club's there.
Well, yeah, you've got Nelson Golf Club. Yeah,
it's almost a walk, which is quite handy. We were out yesterday in the sun, which was beautiful, to be fair.
Yeah,
nice views.
So with Nankas going right, and Levi is there. So traditionally, what happens is at training and in the game, Nankas is at him constantly. Apparently, Levi just says he's always in me as D, and at training, if he's not, he's just hammering him. So is it quite a relief now to have you there, or are you the same? Are you at him all the time?
I bet you I'm not.
Not quite.
I mean, I thought it was quite brave of Nankas actually.
It's been around a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say he's probably telling me all the right things. Not quite, but just making sure we're on the same page a lot of the time. I think again, like I was saying, one of my sort of roles I'd say is to facilitate the attributes that Lee's got. So I think as much as we can be on the same page defensively is a huge thing. And then just making sure we can use him to his full potential. In the attack space.
Okay, so Canterbury on Saturday. We've talked a little bit about it, and we've talked about the rivalry. First of all, what are your expectations with what Canterbury are going to bring? But then also, without giving too much away, what have you talked about from your point of view, the team going into that game?
Yeah, I think just having watched their game from the weekend, I think they kicked the most out of the teams in the first round. So I think they had something like 44 kicks.
Hopefully they do a lot of up and unders out of their 22 leagues.
Yeah.
Midfield bombs. Yeah. Your favourite.
But I think with that, just cluing our team up on receiving those kicks and staying in the fight in that space, I think we're expecting a fair amount of rain on Saturday as well. So being pretty clued into the weather conditions, because that can have a huge.
We'll check on the morning, because sometimes it just goes around the hills, doesn't it?
Yeah, it can clear up.
That's right.
And I think the underlying thing we've spoken about is just the physicality, both in attack and defense. So,
you know what's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Dominant sort of carry focused team. Meet them face on physically and try and impose our game on them and see how we get on.
Dead right. So you mentioned the weather, and it is forecast for a bit of rain around about kickoff time. So I just want to say to people listening, there are plenty of covered stand seats available. So your tickets are available online at www.mako.nz. So jump in and get yourself a covered seat, because there's nothing better than watching this rivalry. And looking forward to a big crowd supporting you.
Yeah, no, it's certainly the big occasion for the season, but we've got a couple more, not the too distant future, Les. It's quite a good lineup this year too for the fans.
Yes.
And it sounds as though a good squad being put together and got off to a great start, and sounds like plenty of experience here. Have you managed to have a bit of a chat to Latoya, because even though she's a Kiwi, she's represented the road?
Yeah, no, I haven't actually. I need to nip upstairs and
she's got a
have
massive history there. Yeah,
go have a
So-
good chat with her.
and I just find it incredible, Les, that it just goes to show how the Bush Telegraph works, doesn't it? Because someone would have said, "Hey, look, this lad. He used to represent England. He's ended up in Auckland."
Yeah.
Just how that comes
Yeah.
about, and how now the Mako, I guess, in a little bit of a way, given a second wind of opportunity
Massively.
to show what you can produce. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and definitely really obviously grateful to be back in a professional environment and sort of challenging myself again. It's been awesome to get the opportunity, and I suppose a bit lucky in the sense that the reputation of like I said, the environment and the culture has just been a massive bonus for me coming in and getting to sort of experience it and be part of the club.
Because you're saying I'm 26. Well, try our age, but but 26 isn't these days that old, is it? I mean, players are going into their early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
So really, it does potentially give you a second shot at maybe some opportunities down the road.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, fantastic.
But as you say, this team and this region does put a smile on your face, and it's a great place to be. So enjoy your season, mate. And
I will do.
it'll be wonderful to watch you on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you, Les.
Yes,
Great
pleasure.
guest. Well done, mate.
Yeah.
You still pull them out of your bag, your little notebook. So fantastic. Don't forget, 11 o'clock, Nelson College taking on Christchurch Boys in the final. 2 o'clock, be there early, taking on Canterbury, and then All Blacks after that. So pretty good day, isn't it? All right, that's it for another edition of the Mako Rugby Roundup. Thanks to our guest, Will Butler. Thank you to the Turf Hotel on Main Road, Stand of the Teams. You can catch this podcast on talknelson.co.nz, on our social media channels, and on Spotify. Just look out for MBS Talk Nelson. That's it for this week. We'll see you again all next week.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.